The Breakfast Club reacts to Claressa Shields talking about Papoose, saying he's nobody's husband, and they laugh at Claressa Shields. They're all going to laugh at you. They're all going to laugh at you. In this video, I'm going to break it down. Let's get unpacked. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Claressa Shields gets a reaction from The Breakfast Club. Now, a couple of you guys sent me this, and I did go see the new Spider-Man. I definitely enjoyed it. Shout out to Tom Holland. Shout out to John Bernthal, right? Very, very fun Spider-Man. Definitely one of the upper ones. Shout out to the wonderful fans of Boxing Ego, because we got a donation, and they gave me a $10 donation and said, enjoy Spider-Man. Put this towards your popcorn. So I definitely did, and I enjoyed myself. So I got back, and now we're here. Bunch of people has sent me The Breakfast Club, right? And they're reacting to Claressa Shields. I've already made a video about it, giving you my opinion. So we're just going to go over what they said. And here goes nothing. Play the clip.
Claressa Shields, she is out and about right now. You guys know she's promoting her fight that she has in Atlanta August 15th.
Yes.
She stopped by a radio show in Atlanta with Young Jock and Shanika.
That ain't just no radio show. That's the Screech morning takeover.
Yeah, I
the Young Jock and Miss Shanika and Shorty.
How I can say.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Miss Shanika, because she got a viral clip up out of Claressa the Goat Shields. Let's continue.
Hey, and what?
Yeah, you can show. Yeah, they the homies. They the homies.
Okay, all right, yeah. So Streets Not for
Yes.
Five with Young Jock and Miss Shanika, and they were having a conversation about all things. Talked to her about boxing and all the things, but they brought up the her and Papoose. Let's take a listen.
How much longer are you willing to be in a relationship with somebody's husband?
Miss Shanika. Why you wanna act like that? Keep it that way. Oh, I know Claressa Shields was fuming when she heard that. The question was, how much longer are you pretty much gonna do this charade and be with somebody else's husband? Here's what Claressa had to say in response.
Because at the end of the day, that's what people are looking at.
Well, pause.
Okay.
Pause, because that's not somebody's husband.
Okay.
Pause. That's not somebody else's husband, but he's still legally married. Yeah, that's why I paused it on you, to correct that.
It's filed for divorce. Y'all hate to say that word, but it's the word that's out.
Now, they're playing the clip, and if you pay close attention, silence, right? I'm going to play it again. After they're watching the replay, live in studio, The Breakfast Club, right? I believe they're on Netflix now. You hear Charlemagne laughing. Oh, check out my Spider-Man shirt too. Yeah. So we had to do that. So Charlemagne's laughing. Listen again.
That's what people are looking at.
Well, pause.
Okay.
Pause, because that's not somebody's husband.
Okay.
Papoose filed for divorce. Y'all hate to say that word, but it's the word that's out there. He filed for divorce.
And he sounded like he having a good oh, and somebody else said, God dang, right? So they're laughing. They're all going to laugh at you, Claressa. They're all going to laugh at you, right? Now, the clip is floating all across the internet. I've already made a video, so it doesn't have them laughing over it if you want to hear it a little bit better. But check that video out for that. This is about what the Breakfast Club had to say.
Because he's serious about me. So I'm not with somebody's husband.
Okay.
He said, oh, man.
And if you're going to call him her husband, make sure you call her his wife. And also hold her accountable for what she's doing in her life. Because she has who she's big about. So don't make it seem like it's just one-sided. I'm not with somebody's husband.
I'm not with somebody's husband.
I'm with the man who filed for divorce, who's serious.
I'm with a man who filed for divorce. But he's serious about me, she says.
About me, who has done things for me that I've done for him. So that's not what it is.
Well, first of all,
close your mouth.
Hold on, I need to say something. Y'all know I love Claressa Shields. Drop on the clues bombs
yeah,
of
for
Claressa
sure,
Shields.
For sure.
Now, this is what we're dealing with. And I told you I'm not a big fan of that, right? We need to bring back real like journalism where people are now afraid to have discourse, right? People have podcasts, they do the interviews, but there always has to be this big like preamble and they have to preface what they're about to say. Man, everybody knows I love Claressa Shields. Shout out to Claressa Shields. Put the soundboard on for Claressa Shields. Why do you need to say that? Right? Why does Charlamagne need to tell his audience that he loves her? And I feel like Claressa Shields, and part of the video at the end where I get to talk about my thoughts, I feel like the world is just babying Claressa Shields. This is a 31-year-old woman. In my opinion, she does a lot wrong. Great fighter, but nobody's complaining about her ability to fight, her skill. They might complain about the opponent she chose, right? But mostly what the bloggers are talking about, right? Her antics, her theatrics, how she moves, her morals, right? So we are in a different time where people, they always have to like sugarcoat it and almost walk on eggshells, right? And I notice this a lot with Claressa Shields interviews. I don't know if everyone's afraid of her or what their personal relationship is, but I notice that a lot. Oh man, I've been a big fan of you and da-da-da. Just ask a question. She's a guest on your show. Why do you have to kiss butt to do an interview, right? And you go back to Larry King, rest in peace. The Dan Rathers and Barbara Walters, they didn't really do that, right? Remember the girl Gail King that interviewed R. Kelly? Go watch that interview. Watch Gail King and R. Kelly. Obviously, he's locked up now. I'm not talking about it. It's an old interview before that. I don't recall her doing that. And it made for a viral clip just the same, but there was no like butt kissing. It was like questions. That's good journalism. Ask questions that the fans want answers to. You don't have to have this big send off. Oh, I'm a big fan of Claressa Shields and I like Claressa. Why say the thing, ask the question, say your opinion, and then maybe say that in the back. But you got a lot of people, when you're talking about Claressa Shields, they front load that. And I'm not a fan of that. Right? And I'm going to tell you more about the Breakfast Club in a minute. But let's just get through it first, shall we?
That I've done for him. So that's not what it is.
Well, first of all,
close your mouth.
Hold on, I need to say something. Y'all know I love Claressa Shields. Drop on the clues bombs of
for
Claressa
sure,
Shields.
For sure.
But I love me some Miss Shanika too.
Yo, that
Miss
was a
Shanika,
drop a
Miss
bomb for her.
Shanika has been one of
Damn.
my favorite radio personalities for a long time. I done said this before.
So again, he's like, I love the radio personality, Miss Shanika, that asked the question. Why not just react to it? Does it really matter who you love? Because you're also saying you love both of them. So that's kind of neutral. So I feel like Charlamagne could have just skipped that and then got to his response.
Like since the days of Wendy Williams, that's how long me and Miss Shanika known each other. That was great.
No, that was.
Yo.
That was great. I agree there.
That was.
I'm just telling you.
That
was
was.
great.
And it took a little heart too, because you're
What?
talking.
And it took a little heart. This is what is wrong with media. DJ Envy said it took a little heart because she a boxer. Who cares? Bro, who cares? What, you gonna punch out everybody for asking a question? Like, is that what boxing has come to? Right? Is this what it's come to? Where these boxers are so primitive and they're Neanderthals that they agree to do an interview, and because they get asked a tough question, you got to worry about them swinging on you? Like, bro, these interviews, it's not that serious. These are supposed to be controlled environments. If Claressa would have touched a woman, she'd go into jail. She might go to prison. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are we talking about? You guys are, and I don't have nothing negative, because at least the woman, not the two men, Young Jock and the other dude, they didn't ask the question. It was the woman that asked the question. So I give her a lot of props for being the only one, and not just on that particular show, but in general. Claressa's been due up for some of these hard questions, because, oh my God, I have so much to say. It is mind-boggling what people do on their platforms at times. But I'm going to try to get through this without stopping as much.
Been one of my favorite radio personalities for a long time. I done said this before, like since the days of Wendy Williams. That's how long me and Miss Shanika known each other. That was great.
No, that was. that was.
I'm just telling you.
That was.
great.
And it took a little heart too, because you're
What?
talking to a boxer.
Claressa ain't playing no
You're talking to
games.
a boxer.
Okay.
You drop a bomb for one
Can I hear
time.
the question one more time? I ain't trying to stir nothing up. I just like good radio. I'm a fan of good radio.
See,
that was good radio.
you're a
That's
weirdo.
good media.
You're a weirdo. Go ahead,
Let
play
me
it.
hear that. Just
Longer are you willing to be in a relationship with somebody's husband?
stop right there.
Damn.
Yo, hey,
Damn.
man. Hey.
That was old school.
Hey, by the way, great answer from
Yeah.
Claressa, because
Damn.
Claressa could have took that.
Again, I don't respect, I'm not saying the Breakfast Club, but I don't respect this right here, what they're doing. I was curious to hear their particular take specifically, because Claressa has been on their show many a time. Remember, she had the money phone and fanning out the money, $90K on the wrist, and she was doing all that. And if you guys remember when Claressa had that horrible purple Barney outfit on, apples and banana, I like to eat apples and banana. You know what I mean? With them disco go-go white, like clodhopper boots on that she had, platform shoes or whatever. That was also a Breakfast Club event that her and Papoose were invited to, right? It was like by Charlemagne or whatever. So I was very curious to hear when you guys sent me this. Oh, they're reacting. I was curious to see what they said. But it's already cap to me. He started off laughing, and he's like, man, that was good. That's good radio. That was a great question. I love Claressa Shields, but I also love the radio host and da-da-da-da. Do you see the problem? He's like, I love good radio. That was a great question. Ha, ha, ha. So you could tell pretty much what they really feel about, in my opinion, what they really feel about that clip and who got the better end of it. But the part that I don't respect here is they're still trying to make it sound neutral. In radio, in streaming, or whatever, there's going to be times where you're leaning towards a particular side, right? Rather than the other side. But I feel like so many people are afraid to let their nuts hang and just tell the truth. They're so worried about relationships or not. Me, I don't go out of my way to offend anybody. But I bought my microphone. I pay for my Wi-Fi. I earned my spot. I created a show. So Claressa Shields or Mike Tyson or whoever, these people didn't put me on, buy my microphone. So why wouldn't I be able to speak my truth on my show with my equipment? I don't understand how this is such a hard concept, right? This man just said, man, credit to Claressa Shields. She had a good answer. How?
Husband.
Stop right there.
Damn.
Yo, hey, man.
Damn.
Hey, She answered the question and gave a very. She was very poised. She took that another way too.
It's old school.
And by the way, great answer from Claressa, because Claressa could have took that another way too. She was very poised.
Yeah.
And she answered the question and gave a very good answer.
She used
Not keeping it real at all, bro. The fact that you use Claressa Shields and poise in the same sentence is beyond laughable. Every time she is questioned about certain things, particularly ops like Remy Ma, someone who she views as her op, her personality, her demeanor immediately changes. Ariel Helwani, she did this horrible freestyle, red ball, blue ball, one fish, two fish, right? It was terrible. And then Ariel started clapping and gassing. She laughing like she was spitting, like Eminem on Renegade or something, right? And Ariel was like, oh, move over, Foxy Brown. Move over, Lil' Kim. And she's like, oh, my God. Ariel, I love them, and I love Eve. This man, Ariel Helwani, said, what about Remy Ma? What about her? What about her music? Are you a fan of that? And I kid you not, Claressa Shields' whole facial expression and demeanor immediately changed. As soon when he was praising her, this was her facial expression after her horrific rap. But as soon as he asked about Remy Ma, her demeanor immediately changed. And the same thing when she was on the Young Jock show. It was all fun and games until the lady asked that question, how long are you going to pretty much settle with being with a guy that's married? And, you know, she started mugging the lady. So how are you going to say she's poised? What was poised about her? You know, you're going to say, oh, it was a good answer. How? Everybody on the internet was roasting her. So how's it a good answer? Right? Everybody's clowning her. Like, that made no sense. That's what I'm saying. People want to baby Claressa Shields for whatever reason, and it's just bizarre to me, right? What made it a good answer, right? What did she do that was poised? I literally seen her whole demeanor. First of all, I'm not with nobody's husband, and blah, blah, blah. And second of all, he chose me, and he loved me. And what was poised about that? You could tell she was irritated. You could tell she was offended. You could tell she didn't like the question. And then she started saying stupid stuff like, if you want to call him, she said, the man is nobody's husband, but you just called him hubby last week on social media, made videos about it, right? So he's nobody's husband, but you, Claressa Shields, kept saying, oh, my hubby rubbed my feet after training. My hubby watching me train for this fight. But a week or so later, he's nobody hubby. Strike one. Then you said, he ain't nobody hubby, meaning Remy Ma on that show when the lady said that, right? Then you said, oh, but if you're going to call him a hubby, then make sure you call her his wife. Like, what are you talking about? You're speaking in riddles. So what is poised about that? So again, for the Breakfast Club to be laughing, which I think is sometimes, in my experience, your first reaction is your real reaction. Like you see somebody trip and fall and people like start laughing. That's what they really felt. But then they try to clean it up. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. I was coughing. You know what I mean? And they try to clean it up or walk it back. So in my perspective, they know Claressa looks stupid. The whole world knows that. That's why you're like, ooh, I love this radio host. Ooh, good question. I love good radio. But in an effort not to offend Claressa Shields, even if she is the one in the wrong or that got the short end of the stick, you want to spin it and act like there's a upside to how she responded. It's just fake to me.
to be in a relationship with somebody's husband?
Stop right there.
Damn.
Yo,
Damn.
man. Hey.
That was old school.
Hey, by the way, great answer from
Yeah.
Clarissa, because
Damn.
Clarissa could have took that another way too.
she could've.
She
But
handled it well.
she was very poised.
Yeah.
And she answered the question and gave a very good answer.
She used to it now,
That's
though.
some good radio right there.
Now nobody
Yeah.
goes
Tell you
that
that right
direct.
there.
That was
I
good.
was gonna say,
No,
she used
nobody's
to it, but
that
she
direct.
That was old
respect
school
that,
radio.
Nobody's
though.
that direct, but she know what
Miss
people
Shanika
want to get to.
Miss Shanika been being that direct for years.
I love it.
Okay.
This Clarissa first time up there.
That's
I'm
Wendy
assuming.
Williams, Miss
I don't
Jones
know if
radio
this
right
Clarissa's
there.
first time there.
Gotta be,
The
because she
show
would have
is-
been asked that question then. That's crazy.
Point.
Whoosh. Okay.
She answered
Yeah.
it. That was a great
Great.
question. That was great.
See, again, in my opinion, I can tell from Charlamagne's demeanor and facial expression. Oh, that was a good question. They're basically saying like, she got you. She got you. But again, because of a potential personal relationship or she's been a guest on your show, you're trying to keep it PC. I mean, this is what's wrong with podcasting and interviewers, right? Where, hear me out, you'll have someone like The Breakfast Club, right? And if you're not in their good graces and you do something like Claressa Shields be doing, you will be donkey of the day, right? For sure, right? Like, let's say they don't like Logic, the rapper or something. Donkey of the day. They ain't got no relationship with him. They don't like him. Donkey of the day. Or whoever the person is. If it's somebody that, like, I don't think Charlamagne rock with Eminem, right? If Eminem spit a cipher and because you don't have a relationship with Eminem and he dissed you before, then they'll go all in. You know, they'll pull no punches. It'll be a scenario where they'll tear into Eminem. He'll be the donkey of the day. They'll say his album sucked. He wasn't spitting, even though I listened to the same album and he was spitting. And they'll over-amp it. And it's not just the Breakfast Club. It's a lot of these podcasts, right? When it's someone that they, like, if it's like Drake and they don't want to, they know Kendrick got with him, right? They know Drake's diss ain't good or the 3 albums wasn't all that. But they don't want to offend Drake. So what they'll do is like play like, I don't want to get in Drake's crosshairs or his bad graces. So I'm not going to go in on him. Like Joe Budden or whatever. I'm not going to go in on the 3 albums. Even though Drake and Joe Budden have beef before, right? But let it be Logic. Joe Budden will be like, this album trash, 2 packs of like, you know what I mean? He gonna go crazy. That's one of the problems where, for me, I don't care who you are. If I'm gonna open my mouth and even report about you or talk about you, I gotta keep it real, right? I gotta keep it real. And here's the thing, even if you have relationships with these people, if it's truly all that, you should be able to speak your honest thoughts without condemning, like still being professional. Like if you had to, oh, I love Claressa Shields, I rock with her, but yeah, the situation with her and Papoose, it does look a little sus. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? And I'm telling you, that is why you're going to see people like me and other bloggers and YouTubers continue to perform and grow and hit higher and higher numbers, especially when it comes to like Claressa Shields. Alexa, backlight on, right? Content like Claressa Shields. Because here's the thing. If you go to YouTube, I can guarantee you, we'll use Claressa Shields, but other topics too. But I want to stay focused in this video. I can guarantee you the YouTubers and bloggers, because I've seen some of them. I've seen clips. The YouTubers are out here keeping it real on Claressa Shields and her mess and all of her situation with the married man Papoose, right? So how is it that we see clearly and we're keeping it real with what Claressa Shields is doing, but then you have syndicated like radio shows that are big and on Netflix and stuff, and then they trying to be so like impartial and non-biased to the point where they're not even keeping it real though. You know what I mean? What Claressa Shields is doing will always be regarded as a fumble or a mishap until Papoose is divorced from Remy Ma. Until that happens, legally, she's the wife, he's the husband, until the court actually produces and approves and finalizes and you get a divorce decree and it's dissolved completely, the marriage. So Claressa didn't answer anything good at all. And her wig looked horrible, if I'm being honest. See how easy it is for me to tell the truth? Right? And I don't know, I can't really speak for any other radio show or whatever, but it's just a pattern I see. People still, even with that one tough question, there's still, people are leaving a lot to be desired, and there's a lot left on the table. They're leaving money on the table when it comes to Claressa Shields, because if you actually do your research, there's deeper questions out. We already knew the married man, and I'm not knocking the girl because that was still a viral moment and a good question that others weren't willing to ask. But you got to question this stuff. How come Charlemagne, right, in the Breakfast Club, they're like, oh, that's good radio. That's good radio. Oh, my gosh, that was a good question. Man, Miss Shanika. Oh, Shanika, she did her thing. Oh, laughing and stuff. You guys have a radio show. Your radio show's bigger than Young Jock's radio show, right? You had Claressa Shields on your show multiple times. So the bigger question is, how come you didn't ask her that question, right? And this is what I'm talking about. Charlemagne, remember when Safari was rapping and it was horrible? And he was like, pockets on Atkins, pockets on the diet, call it the Atkins, breathing it back in. And then Charlemagne was like, nah, man, nah. That ain't it, y'all. Nah. Because Safari had that terrible rap. Right? That's when Charlemagne was getting the most props. Because he was keeping it real at all costs. There's another clip with MGK who was rapping. And he said something, and it looked like MGK was finna cry on the Breakfast Club, right? Because Charlemagne was like, nah, doesn't move me. I really wasn't feeling that, right? Episodes with Dame Dash was on Breakfast Club, and then Charlemagne was saying his piece. Dame, that was like the best. Them old clips, that's when the Breakfast Club, to me, was at their peak. Because they were going to keep it real, even if the person was right there in front of them. You don't even have Claressa Shields in front of you. You're laughing at it. You're saying it's good radio, but you've had her on your show. How come y'all didn't ask her that? If it's so praiseworthy to Young Jock's show, and I'm not saying it's not, how come you couldn't ask when you had her on the show a multitude of times? Right? This is what is wrong with the game right now. People want to pick and choose. That's why I'm telling you, watch your space. YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers, they're just keeping it real. They don't have a dog in the race. They don't hold back. You know, they're just going to keep it real on what they're seeing, provide the receipts. And when it comes to Claressa Shields particularly, that's what the game is missing. There are so many questions that people haven't asked. It's like they're afraid to ask her or whatever. Don't do the interview then. If you can't, if you're a 31-year-old and you can't comport yourself and answer questions, you can have 20 regular questions and then 2 of them are tough. You shouldn't be doing interviews. If you can't handle the 2 out of 20 that are tough, that's a very small percentile of questions being tough. But that's why some people do interviews now and people aren't really interested, because Look at Claressa Shields' interviews. Outside of this young jock, before that, it was Breakfast Club. They're not asking her nothing. They're like all buddy, laughing with her, letting her say whatever. Ariel Hawani letting her rap and then gassing it up, gaslighting it. Move over, Lil Kim. Move over, Foxy Brown. That's my era. So if that's your real era, you mean to tell me what Claressa Shields is doing on the mic reminds you of Lil Kim and Foxy Brown, and they should move over? That's what I'm saying. People aren't keeping it real with this girl at all, and it's sad. Remember when Claressa did the interview with that FUBU jersey? She had a FUBU jersey on or something. It was pink, and she did a Melissa Ford interview. These people are acting like petrified to ask her tough questions. So shout out to the girl on Young Jock Show for at least getting it cracking and going above and beyond what a lot of other people who have had Claressa on their shows are doing. That's why nobody's like respecting Claressa interviews, because they all are like softball questions, trying to find a soft spot for her to land. I can think of 3, 5, 8, 10 different questions that are fair, reasonable, not trying to be disrespectful, but legit questions that people have. Right? Claressa is a bully behavior. When she does get a question she don't like, she'll talk over you and she'll try to cut you off. No, pause. Nope. That's why I correct everybody. I got to correct everybody right there. Do you pause that? Nope, you're wrong. And then she's not really talking about nothing. So why is the Breakfast Club acting like she was cooking? She literally said in that interview that they're reacting to, right? She was like, that's not what had happened. Young Jock said, what happened then? Did not that. That's not what had happened. What type of answer is that, bro? It's like a little kid. That's not what happened. That's not that what had happened. What happened? Not that. Everything else happened but that. But that and the habit that. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Oh, don't call, he ain't nobody husband, but I've been calling him hubby, right? He ain't nobody husband, but if you're going to call him a husband, why is there, he ain't no husband, but if you're going to call him a husband, call Remy the wife. And then there's no one challenging her. But when I'm doing my videos, I'm challenging with facts. Remy Ma literally did a interview with Angie Martinez 3 days before that Young Jock interview and explicitly said, I'm single. I'm not dating anybody. I was with someone for 20 years. The dating world is kind of weird. So right now I'm single and I'm in my soft girl era. So even that, how come there's no, either they're not knowledgeable enough to the responses or whatever, but that should have been checked. Claressa was like, Remy Ma, she got a man of her own that she is praising, da-da-da-da. So bring it up to her. Remy just told you she's single. So why are people letting that stuff slide? How is it that independent YouTubers and bloggers seem to be more cognizant and aware of this whole Claressa Papoose timeline storyline? There's things with Claressa Shields in the timeline that I done the research. It does not add up. When did you break up with Tony Rich specifically? Because you're like, oh, I met at the Shakur fight July 6th. But then the man was posting about you still, your fiance, ex-fiance at this point, Tony Rich. And he was like, my baby, go get him, Tiger. I love you. Why was he saying that if you was talking to Papoose every day? That's what you said ever since you met at the Shakur fight. And you gave him backstage passes to your later fight later that month. And this girl talked too much. Oh, we started dating in August. But then she did a new interview and she said she got exposed by Remy in December and her and Papoose had been dating 6 months. which would have made it June, right? But then you said you didn't meet until the Shakur fight in July. So a bunch of inconsistencies, and there's no follow-up. It's just like, oh, Claressa said it, let's rock. Literally, Claressa was on the Breakfast Club, and they were like, oh, you've been engaged, right? And she was like, was. And then they're like, oh, you're not anymore? Charlamagne said something like, you're not anymore? And then they just let her like skip around the question. She was like, was. No follow-up. Like, talk to us about that. What happened with Tony Rich? They don't do that. So, yeah, I see why they raving about someone else who had the gall to stand up and ask Claressa a tough question. And that's why Claressa's mad, because now it's going viral.
Great rating.
But she's going to continue to get that question until.
No, she's
Yes.
not.
Well,
Anybody else gonna ask her that?
Not like that.
Look, DJ Envy said she going to continue to get that question. Charlamagne said, no, she's not. No one else is going to ask her that. Man.
That was a great question. That was great.
So you're saying it was a great question. DJ Envy says she's going to keep getting that question as long as Papoose is married and hasn't finalized his divorce. Charlamagne said, no, she won't. No one else is going to do that.
But she's going to continue to get that question until.
No, she's
Yes.
not.
Well,
Anybody else
that.
gonna ask her that?
Not like that.
No, not like that.
Ain't nobody gonna ask
Absolutely
that.
not like that.
They will.
Ain't
But
nobody
not
gonna
like
ask
that. They will. Not
Nobody
like that,
ever
though.
has.
Right.
Not even when she was
So he just proved my point. Nobody ever has.
Nobody
here,
gonna
I didn't ask her
Yeah.
that directly. 'Cause
Look, when she was here, I didn't ask her that directly. So literally, this is not rehearsed. So I didn't even hear this portion of it until just now live because I want my honest reaction. So everything I said earlier in this video now being confirmed by the Breakfast Club. Oh, nobody asked her that. We didn't ask her that when she was here.
They will.
Ain't
But
nobody
not
gonna
like
ask
that. They will. Not
Nobody
like that,
ever
though.
has.
Right.
Not even when she was
Nobody
here,
gonna
I
ask
didn't
her
ask her
that.
that directly because every
No, I
time she
said
was
they'll
like
ask her,
wanting to get away.
not that directly.
Yeah.
But they'll ask. They'll fish. They'll fish around.
I
it.
love both of them sisters though. I just want y'all to know that.
Again, why he keeps saying I love both of them sisters. Who cares? Claressa Shields in the wrong. You shouldn't go public with a married man. Bad for business. And it goes to show you, like, these people are all part of the problem that's going to be the downfall of Claressa Shields, my honest opinion. Because when you don't keep it real with people and you got a bunch of yes men and women around you, you're not held accountable. So there's no reason to change. Why would you change behavior that has been accepted by your inner circle? Oh, come to the Breakfast Club. We're not going to ask you no tough questions, right? We just going to laugh and giggle with you, even though there's real questions that people have, right? That is not unreasonable to ask, hey, you're getting slated for being with a married man. When is the deadline for Papoose to have this all wrapped up, right? And the thing is, Claressa Shields, it goes to show you everything I believe she's a narcissist, because you could have just said, next question. I'm not answering that. I've already answered that before. But she'll take on the question and still do a horrible job. Because, again, she don't think she's doing nothing wrong. Narcissist, right? And in Charlamagne, again, people have done lesser and they became donkey of the day. He's just like, oh, I ain't in it. I love both of these sisters. Yeah, you can love them. If you really love them, hold them accountable. Hold Claressa accountable. She don't think she's doing nothing wrong, y'all. She literally said, I had a movie coming out, The Liar Inside, right? Fire Inside. Movie was coming out, and I didn't want nothing to go wrong with it, right? She said, my team said, the movie's coming out. Don't do anything bad. Don't get in any trouble for a year and a half. You got this movie coming out, and it meant something to you, right? So it goes to show you, in her Flint water mind, her team said, don't get in trouble for a year plus, right? You got this big movie premiere coming up. We don't want any drama. And she literally said, I get in trouble with the internet. So this girl knew she had a movie coming out that was going to get promoted and decided, let me break up with Tony Rich, my fiance, pursue Papoose, whose marriage has not been dissolved to this day, years later, right? And it would be in my best interest to start something new after just getting out of an engagement on and off for several years with the same Tony Rich guy. And right before my movie, let me start doing this behind the scenes. And what made it worse is Remy outed you because you wanted to do your dirt on the low and nobody knew about it. So you thought you could get away with it, but that's why you don't do dirt, because don't do stuff behind the scenes that you don't want blasted out. Then you don't have to worry about it, right? Like if I'm a YouTuber, like I am, right? I'm a content creator, and I'm shoplifting in my spare time, and then somebody drops an article, oh, Ego got arrested for shoplifting. Whose fault is it? The person that blasted me or me because I'm shoplifting? Again, if you didn't want to bring that shame and embarrassment to your channel, maybe you shouldn't shoplift, right? I make enough money on YouTube and get donation. Why didn't I just buy it? So again, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. If you don't do nothing wrong, then what can the world say? So it just goes to show you she's young-minded and naive. You thought it'd be a good idea to start a new relationship ahead of a big movie premiere, your first ever biopic. And then that man happens to be a guy who has somewhat of a name in hip hop and married and attached to Black Love, Remy Ma. So how did you think this was ever going to work? Right? And even if you're doing on the low, you're like, we were a private couple. People still, like, were you just hiding in the bushes? People could still see you, one of you walking in and then getting in the car. Like people, like we live in an era with cell phones. So at some point, even if Remy didn't expose you, you probably would have got caught. I've always seen TMZ and paparazzi and stuff, and they get the scoop on new couples. Like, oh, we seen Ice Spice and she kicking it with this person and this and that. You know what I mean? Like, you gonna get caught. There's cell phones. There's cameras. People gonna see you. So if Remy didn't do it, it still would have happened at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm also a fan.
Claressa gonna be
I'm a
pissed that
fan
you
of
ran
great
that back.
radio. I'm a fan of great radio. That was good radio. Okay.
Well-
and it was great on both ends because all Miss Shanika did was ask a question.
Correct.
And Claressa answered it. Kept it moving.
The sad thing is,
That's it.
I didn't even hear the answer. I just heard the question.
No, the answer was great.
I was
Go
shocked.
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah,
The answer was great. Man, stop.
I was
answer from
definitely
Claressa.
shocked.
Wow.
Okay.
It was a great answer.
Any more questions?
Bro, oh my gosh. They're all saying it's a great answer. How? She looked dumb as hell. How is that a great answer? She was stammering. She was like, yeah, you gonna call your husband. He ain't nobody's husband, but you gonna call him the husband and call her the wife. You look frustrated. It didn't make sense. They're like, oh, yeah, she did good.
Like that.
She cleared up a lot. She cleared up a lot in her answer. She put it on the record.
How did she clear up a lot? She said he really loved me. He cared about me, and he filed for a divorce. Oh my gosh, bro.
Didn't know that. She said that Papoose filed for divorce because of her. I didn't know that.
Oh,
That was new
because
for
of
me to hear.
That's what. Oh my God, bro. These people, bro.
Yeah, that was. I thought that they
okay.
had just gotten to the point where they didn't want to be together anymore.
Exactly.
But she was
Right.
like, no, because of how serious he is and essential about this relationship. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. She said it was because of her.
That's the
so.
type of radio I like. I like when people talk
Damn.
to each other. If you got something you want to ask me and allow me to answer in front of you. Okay, don't do the sucker stuff where you talk about me when I'm
Yeah,
not
when you
there,
go.
and then if I want to reply, you get mad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was bad. There were little things that the Breakfast Club like identified, but overall they were still trying to kiss butt. And again, here's the thing. I'm gonna be real with y'all. these people couldn't get in a room and do a live debate with the YouTubers who are covering Claressa Shields and survive, right? Like, oh, it was a great response from Claressa Shields. Okay, do it a live debate with me and you argue on behalf of Claressa Shields, it being a great reply. You argue that Claressa Shields ain't did nothing wrong and no one's going to ask her tough questions anymore. You get on and say this was a great outfit. You pretty much be Claressa Shields' advocate and argue everything positive on her behalf. Again, this is why YouTubers and bloggers are taking over and winning, because there's no real agenda. People are just keeping it real with what it is, right? The everything is out about this story is highly publicized, right? Here's Papoose. He got a whole pawn shop receipt from Remy Ma, right? No one's asking about that. Hey, they say your man's pawning off jewelry and Remy posted a receipt. What's up with that? Have you noticed anything fishy? Right? What about the age difference? What about this? What, you know what I mean? Like what about the timelines of when y'all met? Right? Oh, we met at the Shakur fight. It was at the Shakur fight. Okay. Then why do you keep saying it was at the Shakur fight? Like you're trying to drill it in our heads that you met at the Shakur fight, right? So many questions. Also, why did Papoose post this? You met at the Shakur fight and he said, I didn't know her prior to this, right? And we met at the Shakur fight. But then why did Papoose post this? This is supposed to be the first time they met at the Shakur fight. It says, on this day, July 6th, I met Claressa Shields. This is the first picture we ever took. Why is the song Tony, Tony, Tony anniversary? These people are slow, man. Why is the song anniversary if that was the first time you met and you didn't know her from a can of paint? How is it your anniversary the first time you met? That wasn't a first date, according to y'all. You just took a quick picture. You didn't know nothing about her, right? Claressa Shields put, wow, it's July 6th. Exactly 2 years ago, I met MC Papoose. Again, they're trying to beat this into your head that this was the exact moment in time that they met. So the fact that you're trying to force feed us that date shows me a problem. And again, anybody following the story, the timelines don't add up. How is it your anniversary if you met on that date? And he didn't met, it was completely platonic. You said you never talked to her before and you just seen each other and like, oh, he's a rapper, she's a boxer, and you cross paths. Why would that be considered your anniversary, right? Like, I dated a girl, right, many years after we worked together. So our anniversary wouldn't be 5 years ago when we worked together because we weren't an item. We weren't looking. She had a whole relationship. I was in a different relationship. Years later, we ran into each other. I was single. She was single. And then we reconvened. And then that's where we started to hang out and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be like, our anniversary is way back then when we worked together, because when we worked together, there was nothing there. We both were in separate other relationships and there was no sparks or anything. So again, you got a lot of people who want to talk the Claressa talk. They don't do it like us. They don't do it like the YouTubers. YouTubers are absolutely destroying and killing it. The man Charlemagne saying, oh, it was a great question, but no one's going to ask her that anymore. Why shouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? If you said it was great radio and a great question, then how come no one's going to ask her that again? I disagree. I believe things are going to get a lot harder for Claressa Shields from here on out. That girl could have been like the levees breaking to tougher and tougher questions. People seen her go viral, right? And I think more and more people are going to do it to the point where she might start walking out of interviews and stuff like that. Because you'll see bullies don't like to get bullied. And I don't think Claressa Shields is articulate enough, and I don't think she can handle it, that she cannot control the narrative in all situations. And I think that really bothers her. I think it really bothers her that she can't control how people respond. The fact is, you're always going to get this question until you provide a divorce decree that shows he's completely finalized. And then out of self-respect, how can you even want a public relationship with somebody who's not willing to give you the perks that they gave their ex? Make that make sense. What I mean is, this man got a tattoo of his wife on his forearm. No tattoos of you, but you got a tattoo of him. He lived with Remy. He proposed and asked for her hand in marriage and got married to Remy. Gave her a child, right? They were even talking about a second child. Did a TV show with her. Didn't seem afraid to kiss her in public. Papoose kissed Claressa like she a frog in a Disney movie. Like he afraid. Like the breath stank or something. Like I don't know what's going on. None of which he did. He didn't always look angry with Remy Ma. So Claressa Shields, you'll never get better when you settle for what you've been settling for. Could never be me. I would never be with a girl. I'm the breadwinner. What? If I'm a breadwinner, why would I settle? Why would I settle for someone who won't scrub a portrait of their ex off of their arm? Cover that up. You know what I mean? Like, how's that supposed to work? So when we get intimate, I got to keep seeing some ninja face? Like, no. But again, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? This girl will never know because she's defending a married man. She's defending all of this stuff. So there's no incentive for him to do more. He's getting whatever he's getting out of the situation, probably getting money from the situation or things paid for. So there's no incentive for him to change, right? It is what it is. So yeah, it's looking ugly for Claressa Shields, and I just wish more and more people would just keep it real. You know, there's plenty of angles in the Claressa Shields situation that looks bad. Why is it so hard for people to keep it real with that? That's all I'm trying to figure out. Oh, Claressa did good. Next thing you know, they're going to say on the Breakfast Club, she was rapping at a high level. I'm telling you, it makes you look bad because the Breakfast Club, at least Charlemagne, he bagged on Eminem. So if you say Eminem sucks and he's washed and this, but then you advocate for Claressa Shields spitting, that don't add up. We know you're lying. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a lot of podcasts and people who are doing these interviews, they not keeping it real. They have no tough questions for Claressa, no real follow-up, no real like deep research. You know, back in the day, they had people like, you know, Datelines and stuff and shows and certain anchors like Anderson Cooper or something. He trying to get to the bottom of it. He trying to figure out like, okay, da-da-da-da. Watch an episode of Dateline, an old episode of Dateline. It'll be like a guy owns a business and he's accused of harassing the worker. They'll ask him tough questions. Like I said earlier, Gayle King, R. Kelly, go watch that interview. R. Kelly was flipping out. You guys are killing me, man. You're killing me. You guys, I'm fighting for my life. You're killing me, bro. He was going crazy. Go watch it. Don't take my word for it. Watch it. So, to me, the Breakfast Club, they lost some of their sauce because I thought that that's kind of their lane, what they used to do. right? Where they kind of used to put people on the spot if need be, right? And ask the tough questions and make people the donkey of the day. Now they're not really doing that because they got policies or some kind of protection plan for certain individuals. So y'all let me know what it is. Either they're not really informed and not digging deep to know the real story and the timeline of events or something. Or maybe it's just a moral thing. They don't care. If they cool with you, they're going to let it slide. Because DJ Envy and Charlamagne both cheated on their women, on their wives or whatever, and they admitted it, right? So maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't see nothing wrong with what Claressa Shields is doing. I don't know. But I think it looks bad in 2026 when you guys are saying, oh, I knew this radio host, Miss Shanika. I knew her for years since Wendy Williams, and she was asking the dope questions. But then you got a show to do the same thing and had the same guest multiple times. Why weren't you the one that did it? That looked weird to me, bro. That looked weird that you're hoisting up and celebrating somebody else for doing something that you could have did and you guys would have got the credit for it. And you guys admitted that. Oh, when she was here, I didn't ask her nothing like that. And you're saying it's a good question, a great question, and great conversation, and both people did so well. It was great for radio, but no one's going to ask that question anymore. Bro, kneel down and kiss Claressa's gloves. This is a bad look. Point blank, period. Terrible look for the Breakfast Club because, again, at one point in time, you guys were kind of the gold standard of people who would, dig for the story or, make it unpleasant if need be. Like, wasn't Birdman, Baby, wasn't that on the Breakfast Club? And he got mad and he's like, hey, yo, don't tangle and twist it. You heard me? Like, quit playing with my name. Stop playing with me. I ain't gonna say it no more. Wasn't that the Breakfast Club? Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. When Birdman was like, quit playing with my name. I ain't gonna say it no more, Walter. Don't tangle and twist it. You think it's a game playing with my name, Walter, right? Y'all was known for that. But now y'all accepting Claressa Shields' BS. Oh, she answered good. How? But then you go to any blog, any YouTube channel that reported on the same interview, and their fans is like, Claressa, what type of answer was that? Like, so I don't really care. At the end of the day, I'm going to make my money. Everybody else do your thing, make your money. But it only makes me and other people like me appear to be, the new gold standard and that liquid gold when it comes to actual content. Because, like I said, the YouTubers are the ones covering the story and getting to the bottom of it and not acting scary to tell the truth. But then some of these bigger radio shows, they're trying so hard to look even Steven. Like I told you, life is not even. You got people who are mega rich and you got people who are really impoverished and poor. So if life ain't even, there's going to be certain topics where you slant to one way. There's nothing wrong with that. If Claressa did right, I'll give her credit for doing right. If her situation looks suspect, that's what I do, right? People think, oh man, Ego's out to get Claressa. She's the one doing this. I didn't tell her to act like this. If Claressa tried to reinvent herself, was making an effort to stay drama-free, focus on boxing and training and positive things, it'd be a different story. She's literally arguing with fans, talking about their kids, talking about their mamas, talking about their family members, talking about their relatives, talking about them, body shaming them, calling them FAT, calling them bald-headed. And then these other bloggers are acting like they don't see none of the stuff Claressa's doing. Oh, man, I don't see why y'all hating on Claressa Shields. it's embarrassing to me. Y'all can't be that afraid of her. You know what I mean? You're literally all the blogs, all the Instagram pages, they got plenty of it. They're showing you screenshots, receipts, dates, times, what she said, clipped up the live where she was like, "Oh, you're bald headed. Shut up, Nicole. Can you run a mile? You need to be out here with your fat butt." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all documented. So anybody who's talking that, "Oh, y'all tearing down a black woman. Oh man, oh, I can't believe it. How come y'all saying this? Everybody hating on Claressa." Again, you either ain't done your research, or you don't care to do your research, or you don't know what you talk about, or you bias or whatever, and you just have a soft spot. The rest of us, we just gonna keep it real, like I did in this video. We unpack.